All right, hello. So this is just a quick stream to do a video demonstration of a recent blog post that people found interesting called RAG Techniques, Cleaning User Questions with an LLM. So you're welcome to read that whole post, or you can watch the video. So I'm going to demonstrate this using this repo here, which is our RAG starter app repo using Azure AI Search and OpenAI. And I've got it deployed on app service here. And this one is actually using GPT-4 as LLM, but typically I actually use GPT-3.5. So this technique should work with any large language model. So here in this application, we actually have two different RAG techniques. So I'll start by showing the first technique because it's the simplest and the straightforward RAG technique. So here we go. I clicked on ask a question and I'm going to ask, what does a product manager do? And so this is going off and looking for matching content in the Azure AI Search Index and then sending it to the GPT model to answer. So we get back the answer, we get back citations, we can look at the sources that it used, we can click on a particular citation and open up the PDF over here, just still loading. And we can also look at the thought process. So this is really helpful for understanding what went on in this particular, in this RAG flow. So it's saying this is a simpler RAG flow. So what we do is we take the user query, we use that user query to search the Azure AI Search Index, and we do a hybrid search. So it both does a full text search and a vector search using this query. And that's what gets back these results here is what comes out. So we got these three results. And that's because we've got all these settings here. We say, okay, we want 3 results and we want to do hybrid search. So we got back those 3 results from the hybrid search. And then we send all of this to the LLM. So we have a system message that says, hey, you're an intelligent assistant. You better answer according to the source. This is how you should cite your sources. Here's the actual question. And then, actually, we give some few shots as well. So in this one, we do give few shots. So here's some few shot examples. And then finally, we have the current user's question. What does a product manager do? And the sources. And then we get back the answer. So this is pretty classic RAG right here. Now, what I want to demonstrate is what we use in the chat tab and contrast it. So we go to chat and say, what does a product manager do? So the difference between these tabs on the surface is that one of them is for what we call a single turn RAG, and the other one is a multi-turn RAG. So single turn RAG means I ask my question, I'm done, right? If I ask a new question, it has nothing to do with the last question. Whereas this multi-turn, also known as like a conversation, means that we're actually, when we ask follow-up questions, we know about the history of this conversation, and we can send that history along with the question too. So if we look at here, what does a product manager do? We get, an answer, and we've got, the sources, and let's see if the sources are actually the same. 29, 28, and 23, 29, 28, 23. Sources are the same. Now we can look at the thought process, and here's where we see a difference. So what we do here is we take the original user query and we do an LLM call in order to turn this user query into a generated search query. So this is, we're trying to prepare this to go to the LLM. So this is actually doing a LLM call. So let me open up, actually, I think I've just got it in the blog post. Too much going on there. So what you can see here, this is the system prompt for generating that query. So it says, here's a question. Please generate a search query based on the conversation and the new question. Don't include special characters, whether it should translate it or not. We also provide some few shot examples as part of that to see, like, okay, if you get this question, give this, give that, right? And few shots generally, help. And then we send that to the chat completion API with a temperature of 0 because we don't want a huge amount of creativity here. So we get back this response here. So it said it turned what does a product manager do into job responsibilities of a product manager. And then we use that to search the index. Now, in this case, we ended up getting the same results, right? So, you might wonder, like, why do we even do this cleanup step here? Well, sometimes that cleanup step can actually help to, really make something work better, with an LLM, right? So let me open this in a brand new window and go to the chat tab and say, what do PMs do? Okay, so I'm going to go and add that in the chat tab and see if it's going to be able to answer this, because here I've used this abbreviation, right? And it was able to answer it. So we can click on this and it says it actually generated the search query roles and responsibilities of project managers. So this is interesting because, it thinks that a PM is a project manager, whereas at this particular company, this data source, it's product manager. However, that was close enough when it did the hybrid search to get back information about product managers. And so here we see we did get slightly different information back, but we still got some information back. So, this cleanup stage can help compensate for users not being clear enough. However, where it really helps is when we do follow-up questions. Okay. So if I go back to this one here, and if I just type what else, right? That's all I'm going to type is what else. So on its own, what else is not a very good query to send to a search index, right? Because there's no context there. But here, essentially, it turned it into what else this time? The hard thing with demoing LLMs is that they tend to behave slightly differently each time. So let's see if it's going to do that again. Because last time I did this, it did actually convert it into a nicer query. So let's see. Maybe I was a little more specific, and I'll try what else do they do. Okay. And what else do they do? And we'll see if we get back a better response. Okay, there we go. All right, so it gives some additional responsibilities and an additional citation. And there we go. All right, so now this time you can see there's the original user query. What else do they do? And this time the generated search query was additional responsibilities of a product manager. So that's a much better search query to send to our search index than what else do they do, right? So generally doing this additional processing can help to improve the results that we get, especially in a conversation where users, don't really think to get specific about what is they and all that stuff. But we need that specificity when we're doing the search here. So that's it. That's a tip. This is something that you may want to use in your RAG chat applications, especially if you do have conversation history, in order to improve the retrieval results. Bye, everyone.